creatively come up with different sort of safe physical activities at home that you can do with your son.
We can use various oromotor exercises. We can make the child smell all kinds of food that we are cooking.
अगर आप ये 1 लीटर पानी में 1 चम्मच डालेंगे, उसे अच्छी तरह से उबाल के रात भर रहने दीजिए, दूसरे दिन छान के बच्चे को वो पानी पिलाइए, तो इससे भूख भी अच्छी बढ़ती है.
If you are having fibroids repeatedly and you've already undergone one surgery, it does not mean that you cannot conceive. You can.
So the baby weight is, it depends on the weight and build of the mother. So a mother who is small in build, short in height and very thin may have a very low baby weight and still the baby weight would be normal.
Hello everyone, welcome to yet another exciting session of ParentTune Live. I am Akansha, your host for today, and we have with us Kiran Teftia, child psychologist. Welcome, Kiran.
Thank you, Akansha.
So in today's live, we'll be talking about how to handle a child's anxiety during the pandemic. So Kiran, tell us, when we think about words like anxiety and stress, it is usually we think concerned, to adults. We don't really think it's related to children. But, a child going through anxiety, is it a new phenomena? And, what factors lead to it, you think?
Right.
Over to you.
So, yeah. Thanks, Akansha. Definitely, anxiety is a word which feels like, it could be the adult's domain. However, even for children, based on different milestones that they are going through, whether it is a 1-year-old child who is going through some kind of separation anxiety, whether it is a 1.5-year-old going through stranger anxiety, whether it is a 3-year-old having anxious moments because the nanny just was swabbed or some festival was there, or a child who is stepping into the school for the first time showing the signs of anxiety. So we got to understand that yes, children, when they are not able to, who are still building their verbal communications, who are still trying to figure it out that, okay, is the world safe for me? Who is building confidence in his or her own ability to handle the situations, and who is mirroring what the parents and what the adults around the world are, what anxieties are they showing. So of course, the children, Akansha, can be showing symptoms of anxiety. However, the way they would be exhibiting could be different. Because in adults, oftentimes it can you can see it by when the adult starts showing is moving around with a particular gloomy face, or an adult is talking to the friend saying kuch acha nahi lag raha hai, kuch karne ka man nahi kar raha hai. However, children could be showing it very differently. So it is important that for example, a younger child could suddenly start becoming more clingy to the parents, or a child who had been very excited about the school, or who had been very excited to go outdoors, suddenly start staying back at home. So there could be overall lack of participation, or a child could be demanding more attention from the parent. The child could be would not want to be in a room different from where the parents are. So there are many different ways in which the child could be showing the anxiety. So it's important that we are able to give a conducive environment for the same. So yes, Akansha, and with the pandemic in picture, where when we open the newspapers, when we open the TV channels, and even when the child notices that the parents are speaking to somebody on phone, or the parents are speaking amongst each other, and they are talking about relatives, they are talking about their own houses. So when the child sees a particular body language, a particular tone, even if young children may not be able to understand the context, may not be able to understand the bigger picture, how much is 2 months, how much is 3 months, this cycle will go away. So even when they see the overall environment having the anxiety, they are bound to internalize it. So, and this second wave, Akansha, especially we are seeing a lot of cases where children, whether it is adolescent, whether it is as young as 7 years, 4-year-old children, are showing symptoms of anxiety. Because this time the pandemic has come so close. Most of the households have either been directly affected, or the child hears somebody in the neighborhood, some good friend, the teacher. So the children are seeing the losses and they are trying to make sense of it. They are trying to see, am I still safe? My family, somebody they look up to, their parents. So would I be safe when my parents are not around? Is it going to happen? If it is happening in the neighborhood, can it happen to me? And we got to understand, Akansha, that children read a lot of stories. And most of the stories, and whether it is moral stories also, they move around topics like the hero or heroine was in trouble and some fire happened or something broke down. So, of course, they do start visualizing themselves in the situation, and they can start showing fears, whether it is nightmares, whether it is suddenly not being able to go to another room. So there can be a lot of ways in which a child can show anxiety in today's time, especially when their structure is broken, when the overall sense of safety is broken. Yeah.
Thank you, Kiran. As an expert, you highlighted such, minor insights, such, little things that we might often, tend to overlook. Okay, so in today's Parenting Live, we are talking on how to handle a child's anxiety during this pandemic. Kiran Teftia, child psychologist, is right here. Please ask your questions. Don't miss this opportunity. We will surely take up your questions. Kiran, Ananya Datta Gupta has written for her 5-year-old. She says, "Hello, ma'am. My daughter is 5 years old. She has become very aggressive and does not obey any words. Always she wants to play or watch videos on mobile. How to deal with this, ma'am?" Ananya is asking.
Right. Ananya, first thing is that the challenge which you are noticing in your child, this is happening in many households. So first thing which we got to understand is that, yes, these are unprecedented times. And yes, as much as tough it is for the parent to keep the motivation going on for activities which are good to do, but they need a lot of internal motivation. Similarly, for the child also, it can be facing trouble and can be facing challenges in keeping the motivation going on. And another thing which, Ananya, we need to remember is that the amount of pressure being a parent and having the child at home at the length of the time, the amount of pressure which the parent could be facing, that can also, and when the parent is not getting somewhere a downtime or a time to re-energize themselves, and the child is not getting another peers or the adults around, like going to the school or going in the neighborhood, when the child is not getting these opportunities, then it can sometimes feel overwhelming for the child as well as the parent to handle the situation when they are on their face all the times. So we got to start it with a sense of empathy here, that it is tough for your child. And sometimes what happens, Ananya, is that if one interaction with the child or some conflict has happened where you wanted the child to brush the teeth before the moment the child got up, and suppose the child just said no, because 5-year-old is a beautiful age where the child starts pushing back direct instructions, right? And the child starts testing their limits, and child wants to create their own autonomy and independence, that no, my way, this is the way I want to put. And no matter how much, Ananya, you ask that why you want to do it like this, it's very tough for the child to actually explain why, but they will be saying, no, this is the way I want to happen. So if suppose some conflict has happened, Ananya, so it is a quite possibility that it can spill over when the next time you say, okay, now come on the table and have your food. Right? Or you say, okay, let's do our assignments or homework for the school. So it can spill over for some other instruction that you're giving as well. So my suggestion would be, Ananya, that if you have noticed that yes, there was some conflict which started with, so maybe you may want to have some downtime and some amount of something which re-energizes you, or maybe you want to give your child a little break that, okay, Ananya, it looks like you don't want to brush your teeth right now, so you let me know once you're ready for it. So you leave a little room for her to do things, to take some more time to achieve the same things. Having said that, it is a good idea to divide the day of the child, to set the expectations that this is the expectation that the day is divided into structural blocks. Okay, so the tricky part about this situation is that the whole day looks like one big block. And it looks like that, okay, fine, we are just moving from one activity to another. For young children, it can be a little tough to figure it out that, okay, now I'm feeling bored, now what should I do? Now I have nothing to do. My mother is busy, my father is busy, maybe my sibling is doing something else, so, and I can't go out. So the child may have a lack of structure. So it is a good idea to establish some kind of high level rule that, you know what, dear, the first half we can do these activities. Then in the second half, you have, okay, in the second half we can do, second half could be probably starting from lunch or something. You have a list of activities. These are the activities, and you can talk to your daughter that these are the activities that we can do during this half. And then the third half probably is a family time, which starts towards the evening time or something. So if this is divided like this, the child has something to look forward to a flexibility within a high level of structure block, that these things are allowed. I can do crayons, I can go to my books, I can play block game, I can be with my mom wherever she's working, or with my father wherever he's working. So she has a list of things. And one suggestion Ananya have, 5 years old, she's still very malleable. With screen time, prevention is always easier to do than fixing or curing, right? So my suggestion would be that in the first half of the structure of block, try to have some kind of rule where the child is not doing the devices. That is the time when the child needs to feel a little, okay, what should I do now? My mother wants me to do this. Okay, I want to do this. These are the activities which are allowed to me. Which one should I choose? So the child has to go through that dilemma and then take a decision, and then she does something and then she shows it to you. Look, Mama, I did this. So that way she gets a sense of independence. She gets a sense of autonomy, and she gets a little sense of consistency and predictability, which is very important for this age. So I really hope with the some kind of high level structure and expectation in place, where we avoid the screen time in the first half, a little bit of disciplining probably would be required for other household members. It's tough, but then structure is something which can keep the motivation going, where your daughter feels, Ananya, that, okay, from this block, I'm ready to move to the second block. So it could mean a little bit of disciplining at home as well. So having a structure. Secondly, seeing if back to back some conflicts are happening. That means that maybe you want to take a break. You want to take a break to your child and have some kind of physical hugs and have some kind of block and have some kind of high, activity where you guys feel bonded again and connected again. And then see if giving the instructions a more cohesiveness and more connectedness is coming there. More connected you are to your child, more are the chances that she's going to listen to your instructions. So it's like that. So I really hope, Ananya, it helps you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kiran. To all those who are watching, if you have any questions around how to handle a child's anxiety during this pandemic, please ask Kiran Teptia. She's a child psychologist. She's right here. Please send in your questions and we will surely take them up. Kiran, please tell us, we're talking about anxiety issues in children today because of the pandemic. Thankfully, the pandemic has come after a very long time. I hope it doesn't come again. But, did our generation also went through the same, or, are there other factors along with the pandemic that are leading to these anxiety issues in children, you think? Did we also had anxiety when we were kids, you think? Or are there some external factors that are also, leading to anxiety in a child? What do you think?
Right. So, Akansha, see, every generation has its own set of challenges to face. Having said that, we have to understand that in our generation, Just a moment, Akansha. It's a little windy here. Okay. So
Sure. No problem.
in our generation, it is whatever is the generation actually, it is the social connect. We are all human being and we are social person. So it's a social connect which is what drives us. So when a newborn child is born, okay, then the child looks up to its small little world which is there. Okay, it's the parents and the grandparents, a small mini environment out there. As the child starts going 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, the child starts looking for validation from other social groups as well. The child starts looking out that, okay, whatever value system that I'm growing up with in my family, with whatever definition of rights and wrongs that I'm growing, whatever are my choices, the way I look, the way I dress, is it getting validated by the larger social group? So these are the anxieties which, immaterial of which generation is there, Akansha, it has always been there. Now, the trickiest point which is happening during pandemic, specifically during pandemic, is that it is challenging the very concept, the social fabric which the child or which a human being needs, the social physical connect which the human being needs. No matter how many video calls a child does with his or her friends, no matter how many WhatsApps the child does, if a child is going out to the school, or if the child is going out even for a half an hour outdoors, then the way the child feels when the child is coming back, you will see the child will be full of energy and ready to tell you all the tales just for that half an hour and 1 hour. So that is what is missing right now, and that can be very stifling for a child. Even a child as young as 7 years or 8 years old will not be able to verbalize, will look at the parents that, okay, my parents are at home, maybe this is okay, you know, I should also not be going. And they take the fear very nicely. Sometimes they take it to a different extreme where they start telling everybody in the family, hey, put on the mask, did you clean your hands before coming? Oh, mama, my brother did not clean properly. So they get into that level where they start micromanaging everybody else. So you can imagine the heightened sense of fear which is going there. And another thing, Akansha, is the reluctance as a caregiver that we may have in all the notions of, the concepts of death, losses, grief, illnesses, sicknesses. So this is a notion that generally, as a culture, we are not so comfortable to talk to our children with. So many times, if suppose we are driving, just imagine, suppose we are driving in a car and suddenly our child just asks, Mama, what if, our car gets into an accident or our car gets into a fire? So suddenly, instead of taking that question as a child's natural curiosity, we take it as a little ominous to speak to our child. We say, let's not talk about it. So similar thing can happen at household as well right now. And that can also be increasing the anxiety when the child is having the fears, but the child sees that my fears, when I verbalize it, may not be welcomed. So when the child sees some news that, oh, so-and-so child was orphan, the child may not feel comfortable to go to the parents and talk about it, that, okay, I'm a little scared that suppose you guys are sick, then how am I going to be handled? So important, Akansha, is that all these factors, our reluctance to talk to the children, the way situation in an age-appropriate manner, in a child-friendly manner, that can be one of the reasons. The breakdown of the social fabric, the social validation, where the child looks to other people also to connect and get their own definitions. Thirdly, where the child is only staying with same set of people who themselves, as a parents also, Akansha, we all are going through our own set of anxieties. The anxieties could be financial, the anxieties could be family members, the anxiety even could be the academic performance of the child, any number of anxieties. So when we ourselves are so anxious, so the way we could be connecting to the child also could be leaving a lot to what the child could be looking at that point of time. So these are the new things. However, our generation also had a different kind of anxieties, but they get extrapolated and compounded because of pandemic situation, Akansha.
Very rightly said, Kiran. Brinda has written, for her friends, daughter who's 5 years old. She's saying, "Hello, ma'am. मेरी फ्रेंड की बेटी अभी कुछ दिनों से बहुत मिसबिहेव करने लगी है। 5 साल की है, पढ़ाई नहीं करती है, हर बात में नो कहती है, चाहे कोई कुछ भी कहे, बस ऑल द टाइम टीवी या फोन देखना चाहती है, शाउट करती है, चीजों को फेंकती है। आजकल ये सब देखकर मेरी फ्रेंड बहुत ही इमोशनल हो जाती है। प्लीज आप बताएं कि क्या करना चाहिए। माय फ्रेंड इज वेरी डिप्रेस्ड। What will you suggest to
Right.
Brinda?
Yeah, Brinda, I can completely empathize. It is a tough situation for your friend to be handling herself as well as to be handling the child and the whole household and all the other family members. So, firstly, we all need to congratulate ourselves that it is tough situation and you're holding on. So it's an amazing thing that we are all holding on. It has been 1.5 years, and it is not easy to keep the motivation going. So great kudos to you. Now, coming back to the little child that we're talking about, 5-year-old child. First, let's talk about the devices part. The tricky part out here is that young children, okay, work a lot in cause action and the result of the action. Okay, now we have to understand that when a child is on devices, the child feel in control of the situation and is able to see that, wow, I clicked this, I got this, right? And then the novelty, whatever the child is doing on the devices, the novelty does not wear off because the child is moving on from one thing to another. I have one YouTube video that I just finished. Wow, I can see another one coming in. So the continuous back-to-back bottomless novelty which the devices keep throwing up, and if it is not interesting enough, that the capability, the control that the child feels to switch to something else within the devices, that is what drives the child to feel more engaged with the devices. So often it may not be, it is difficult to tell that it's a child's problem. A lot of times, this is how devices are designed. They're designed to be, if not, we go to the extent of saying addictive, however, highly engaging. And what actually becomes more tricky for a child, especially as young as 5-year-old, is their ability to delay gratification, their ability to have a concept of wait. So even if the mother comes and says that, okay, it's time for you to turn off, when the child learns, okay, mama, 5 minutes, then the concept of time, that even if you come to the child and say, okay, it's already 15 minutes, the child may still hold on, right? So they have the desire to have instant gratification. So all these things make the devices very, very engaging. So my suggestion to your friend Brinda would be that if of course you are staying with a family where there are other family members as well, and if the TV is always going on, it can be very tough. Try to have some kind of inculcate some kind of delay gratification concept, or try to have some kind of gamification that you say, you know what, we achieve this first, and then we have this. So have some kind of that, okay, we achieved this, wow, great, now we earn this. So you can have children, young age children, respond to such gamification of the day. So you say, wow, you have just unlocked the Peppa Pig for you now, which is one of the series on the TV, or you have unlocked the rhymes for you now. So try to have some kind of this and have a mix match of routine work and entertainment. Then routine work and entertainment. Because we got to understand that, of course, academics need a lot of frustration tolerance on the part of the child. And you may, because now, because of online education and all, a lot of onus to ensure that the work is getting completed has invariably come on the parents. So Brinda, it is also quite possibility that your friend, when parents watch how the teachers are teaching, may be adopting similar strategy. And a lot of times, because teachers are trained right, to engage with the children in certain manner, and if that does not work, they change their mannerism to suit it to the individual temperament of the child. So a lot of times the way teacher is doing one way of instruction may not work with your child, especially in a one-to-one setting, because in the school what happens is that the child is looking at their peers also. So when the child sees that, wow, my friend went to the teacher and the teacher gave a star, then the child can get that inherent in the inner motivation to mimic it. However, being at home, it can be tough. It is genuinely tough for children to progress and for the parents to adopt the similar strategy and get the work done. So be a more flexible in what you wish to achieve. So in case if it is apple to be written 10 times, maybe you can make some kind of collaborative effort where there's a fun element. So maybe your friend can come up with things like, okay, so let's do it with crayons today. So which color you want to take? Red, blue. Okay, so you will write one apple. How about I write another apple? So if we can have some kind of fun in that, and the child sees, wow, my mother is enjoying it, and so a lot of times your excitement and your enthusiasm can rub onto the child. However, if the child sees it as an occasion where my mother is only there to put circles on wherever I'm doing wrong, it'll be difficult for the child to sit through it for a long time, because being evaluative all the times is tough for the children. They will start seeing that it raises anxiety in my parent and may actually start avoiding it. So if you can bring some kind of gamification of the structure of the day, where the child achieves something and the child then unlocks some game for themselves. Secondly, if you can see how a reduced work can be done, if instead of writing apple 10 times, you write 5 times, but you're enjoying writing 5 times. So if you can bring some kind of fun element in the academics and see how your child is responding. And thirdly, if your child completely says, no, mama, I'm not doing right now, then giving space to the child. It is a possibility that maybe the way we all are, the child is having some tough time, and young children often cannot correlate that why am I feeling so not feeling so good today. So give some space to the child, be a little extra kind. Yeah, I can see that you are not feeling so good, so you let me know whenever you're ready for it. However, the thing that you had put it as unlocking, that stays logged. That means if your child just picks up a book to read, you are okay with that. The child wants to do some drawing, you're okay with that. So have the set of, or picks up some blog game, you're okay with that. Give some space to the child as well. Let the child, you have the whole day. So let the child sometimes feel that the child is getting away with it, with some of the no's. So that the important small number of no's that you have, the chances are high that the child may listen to it. So observe yourself also how many no's that the child is handling throughout the day, and see if some of the no's can actually become a yes. So I really hope, Brenda, this helps your friend.
Thank you, Kiran. Since you were talking about, anxiety in children coming because of the screen time and gadget use, can you please suggest, what is the ideal time, what is the ideal duration to have screen time for a child, between 3 to 7 years? Maybe you can suggest something on that.
Right. So generally, we all go through what is prescribed by the Pediatrician Association. So generally it is said that till the time the child is 2 years old, there should be 0 screen time. And even if you're having some 15 minutes, 20 minutes of a blog, then always co-watch with the child instead of giving the devices to the child. Then when we talk about 2 years plus, then generally till 5 years, it is advised to have about not more than 1 hour of time. And even then, my suggestion would be keep it like a block of 20 minutes. So you can actually have that, wow, you unlock this 20 minutes for yourself, look for devices which auto lock or turn it off, or you can just say, all right, so the Wi-Fi is off now, or something like that, right? So you can have 20 minutes now, and the 20 minutes can be a little maybe towards the other side of the day. Like that. So it's positioned like work, entertainment, work, entertainment. It's a structured one. So that's about it. Anybody who is like more than 5 years, Akansha, it's purely driven on the need. Of course, because online schooling is going on right now, so when I say devices, my definition generally is devices used for entertainment. Okay, so if it is, if so do not add on to the hours when the child is doing online, because for a young child, in any case, as a parent, you are sitting with the child and you're supporting the child through the different activities which the child is doing. So when I say screen time, I'm talking about the screen time, whether the child is on iPad or TV or mobile, and the child is doing it for entertainment. For a young child, try to co-watch, and always, whenever you are introducing any new screen, any new topic, or any new serial, or any new cartoon character, always watch for few episodes just to see what are the content of the child, what is the content of the video, what is the speed in which the screen is changing, and the emotional overtone, swearing words, stereotyping. So please do be aware about it. I recently had a child who was watching a lot Tom and Jerry, and whenever the child will connect with the parents, the child will say, "Oh no!" So whatever is going on in the screen, be prepared that the child is going to mimic at home. So if something is high paced for young children below 6 years, 7 years, Akansha, my suggestion is be careful about what the child is watching on the screen. If it is high paced, then when the child is on high on emotions, or even when the child is very excited, chances are high that the child will try to mimic those actions and the words as well. So curate what your child is doing. I get very concerned when the parents, when we all think that, okay, YouTube, my child is on YouTube. YouTube is not a standalone channel. YouTube is a collection of lakhs of people, millions of people who are uploading videos. So your child, the moment you allow your child to internet, young children, 7 years younger, even 10 years younger, I would say, when you open up your child for entertainment to internet, on their own with the devices, it is a very scary situation. It is not advisable at all. You ideally, even if you're putting something, you should be putting those channels for the child, and you have to restrict your child to few channels within the YouTube. So please avoid just letting your child browse to the Play Store, download whatever games they want to download. There was a 6-year-old child who had downloaded 30 games. So you got to be careful about it as a parent. So internet enabled, please be very careful about it, Akansha. That's my suggestion.
Thank you so much, Kiran. You gave wonderful insights. I'm sure this will help, all the parents out there. Kiran, Arpita Kumati has a 7-year-old child. She's asking, "Hello, doctor. Of late, my 7-year-old child has become really keen to get all information about coronavirus. He would continue to discuss about what might happen, how many people died. He sometimes keeps talking to self, what will happen if we all get COVID positive, then would continue to think negative. And he has difficulty in sleeping as well these days. He is becoming fearful of any one of us dying due to the infection. How can I help him alleviate his fears and behave like a normal 7-year-old child? Please guide. I am really concerned for him," Arpita is saying.
Right. Yes, this is scary situation, Arpita. These are unprecedented, and the amount, the vocabulary that young children are picking up. Even a 2.5-year-old child is, is giving their hand. Okay, check my temperature, sanitize, oximeter. They are using these words. So yes, they are open to new vocabulary, new questions, and the questions that as long as it is a fear in their mind, it's difficult for them. It's like the fear of the ghost. So Akansha, we were talking about the fears that we had in our generations, which are right now also. It's a fear of darkness. It's a fear of slimy things. So as long as it stays as fear, it's difficult for a child to move on. So it is important that the child gets newer narrations. I'll give you an example. When the pandemic started, and a lot of news, especially from close ones, close relatives, it started filtering in, so and so person is sick, so and so person died, and there were talks about orphans as well. So I sat with my two daughters, 8 years and 11 years old, and I spoke to them about it, that, okay, have you ever wondered, see, a lot of times we may think that it is ominous, but for children, it could be very, very obvious thing, those fears. So I asked them that, have you ever wondered that how the situation is going to be if I'm not there, or how the situation is going to be if me and your father is not there? So have you ever wondered? So we let the children talk, that, okay, what do you think? Whenever you have sibling, please start with younger one, because younger one often get influenced by the older one. So start with the younger one always. So it was very insightful. Then they talked about their fears. Yes, Mama, I was just here thinking about it, but then I thought that this can happen, then this can happen, then this grandparents, then my cousin, my this. But then grandparents, if I stay with grandparents, then they may not be so active. But then I will do like this. And also, when the child starts making more endings of this story, of course it is tough. So we ended up with saying that, yes, we all love each other, and of course when we lose our near and dear ones, Arpita, it is okay to show your own fears to the children also, without showing without ending the story with the sadness. So when the child sees you talking on phone to your relatives, or to even people around, saying that, oh my God, I don't know how the virus is happening, I don't know what's going to happen, the child is hearing us. And a lot of times, no matter how much you tell, oh, don't be scared, don't be scared, they see more what we are telling to other people. So you may also want to see what is, it starts from the parent, and then it starts from the interactions that the parents or the caregivers, it could be anybody in the home, the adults around, the interactions that they are having with people around, including the news which is coming. So what inputs are they taking? What outputs are they giving? And then it boils down to the exposure that the child is having. So whenever you notice that even when you see something in the news, you can always then later on sit with your child and say, okay, so and so news was there, but you know what, I'm going to be there around you for a really long time. But yes, it can be very scary situation, and in case if it happens, tell me, how do we handle it? So let the child first talk about it. So it is like BCP situation, Arpita. The way when we go into the aeroplane, okay, and when the air hostess tells us these are the exits, these are the things, then we actually some of us, of course, may feel more anxious, because we say, oh my God, they're talking about what if the aeroplane is going to crash. But a lot of times it is also about mental preparedness, that, okay, if this happens, I can, at least this is the other ways I'm going to handle it, so I'm safe. So let me move on to some other thoughts. So the similar thing, we got to help our 7-year-old as well, because 7-year-old children are the ones who are reading. They are the second grade, third grade ones. So they are reading a lot of stories, and they are aware about a lot of things, and they are trying to satiate their curiosity. What if this? What if that? So have some kind of let the child speak whatever he or she is speaking, because if they are keeping it to themselves, then they are going to manifest that anxiety in some other way. Either, pushing back more, nightmares, right? So they will be showing some other way. So please keep the channel of communication open. Yeah.
Kiran, Himani has sent in a similar question, kind of a similar question. She's writing for two children who are 8-year and 6-year-old. She says, my two daughters are 8 and 6 years old. They pretend play of one of them being a patient and the other being a doctor. They would do things like gasping for breath, dying, and reviving the patient. I'm scared to see them play this game, and one of them is pretending to be dead. Is it okay? And should I leave them, to play this pretend game, or should I stop them from doing so? What should I do? Himani is asking.
All right. It's very interesting. It is. Thanks, Himani. Thanks, Arpita, for asking these questions, because they are affecting a lot of parents, and they are concerns which are definitely they are playing on in a lot of people's minds. So first thing is that young children, they feed upon survival stories and hero stories. That's why you will notice that all the cartoons which are made for them, whether it is whether it is Chota Bheem, whether it is Doraemon, so they all have special powers. Even children who are Harry Potter's fan, the magical powers that they have, fighting with an evil, being able to come out of it. So they they do believe in survival stories. They do believe in heroism, and they do internalize it a lot. So that's a good part of it. They have high level of positivity. Now, when you notice your children doing, and they do a lot of pretend play. So even if it is, that's no wonder when you have a kitchen set or something, which is all toy, they can be enjoying the drink even though there is nothing. So it is very natural for young children to be doing a lot of pretend play. Now, unfortunately, this is the story which is going on right now. Right, the story of survival, the story of oxygen cylinders, the story of, okay, let me check you before coming, put on your mask. So this is the pretend play. Children mimic what they see around. However, if you notice that one of the child is showing too much of anxiety, or if you are not comfortable, so you can actually join their games. And the child who is pretending to be dead, you can actually kind of, bring some fun in that, Himani, saying that, okay, and now you know what, the tickle monster is coming, and tickle monster is going to make you alive again. I'm coming, and just see the giggle in your, that goes with your 6-year-old and 8-year-old children. So participate in that play. Let it be child directed. Children are sensitive the moment you start saying, oh, no, don't play this, don't do this, right? Because this is a story. For them, they don't divide it into bad story and a good story, unless one child is hurting the other one or is bullying the other one. Now, that's a different story, right? But otherwise, the story is a story. Whether it is a story of Prahlad, where, the uncle is throwing in the fire, it's a story. And then the child is surviving out of it. Right? So if you are getting worried about it, you can change the end of the story. You can actually kind of say, okay, so here comes the big fairy, and I have a magical wand. So who wants my help? So bring the fun element in the story. I'm sure your children will be just fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Kiran. Pavni Sharma has written, hello, ma'am. This question is about anxiety making me have sleepless nights. I'm having this constant fear of what if my only child contracts the infection? What if my husband or I get this infection? Who will take care of our 4-year-old child in that case? I'm having nightmares on and off of one of us being in the ICU. This anxiety is affecting my day-to-day life. How can I deal with it? Am I the only one having these fears? Please give some suggestions to deal with the situation I am in right now, Pavni is saying.
Right. Pavni, right from, this question that, am I normal? Is it normal for me to think like this, right? It's perfectly normal to feel anxious, to feel stressful, to have bad dreams. Okay, we all are part of the cosmos, the whole world which is getting affected by it. So it is perfectly normal. A lot of times, Akansha, I have, especially, like, I think one of the parents had asked that, is it normal for my child? And also this word normal, and this word that, is it a normal word? I think now is the time to actually kind of have new definitions of normal, because the more we struggle to think that, okay, I want to go back to my old normal, the more helpless you're going to feel. And the more helpless you feel, of course, when you feel helpless, you're going to feel more and more anxious. And as long as you're building upon your fear sitting with you, and you are imagining the worst that can happen, it will be difficult for you to get that peace back. So, Pavni, first thing is, it is normal. It is natural to feel anxious with cases going all around. This time, the second wave has touched everyone. However, whenever you get the thought, first you want to kind of look into yourself, the physiological, how you're feeling. You may start thinking that, oh my God, you may look in the mirror, see that your eyebrows could be getting knitted up. You may see that, okay, your child is looking at you, but you are not able to connect with your child. So start noticing your physiological being, and maybe you want to shift it a bit, right? Maybe you want to take some water. Maybe you want to tell yourself that, all right, I'll think about it. I'm not feeling so good. Be comfortable with, I'm not feeling so good, right? Be comfortable with, don't try to fight away with that feeling. Okay. And when you have that question, what if I'm there in the ICU? Maybe you want to give some answers to yourself that, okay, my neighbor, okay, maybe they will take care of it. Or maybe, we all, like, I had a parent who had 2.5 year of daughter, and the daughter also joined the parent in the hospital itself while she was recuperating, and then the family came back. Even husband also joined there. So the good thing, Pavni, is maybe you also want to see the survival stories also. You want to see, of course, the media a lot of times is a little skewed to get the eyeballs, of course, and you may see more about the projections of the deaths and all. You do want to feed yourself with survival stories as well, and you may want to give yourself some answers. The moment you leave only with the questions, it can be a challenge, but you may want to help yourself with some answers. And if there are no answers, so maybe you want to change the question. The tricky part, Akansha, with our brain is, whatever question we ask ourselves, our brain forces us to keep thinking about the answer. Until the time we don't get the answer, it will keep niddling that, okay, find the answer. So Pavni, you may want to reframe the question a bit to yourself. Like, if you say, okay, what if I'm going to be in ICU? So you want to reframe it saying that, okay, so do I have a support system around? So reframe the question, so in a manner where you are able to get the answers, right? And at the end of the day, maybe just if you don't have any answers, so maybe you may want to look off some. Now, I tell you, it depends on your belief and your faith, but maybe you want to look for some ways in which, like meditation or something, some ways in which you're able to get your peace. It starts from you. And then the people whom you want to avoid people who are always talking about the negative news also, and want to talk to people who are kind of giving something positive as well. Yeah, I really hope, Pavni, it helps you. It's happening to everyone, dear. We are all in it together.
Thank you, Karan, for that motivation. Naitik Dhamija is writing for his 4-year-old. He says, hello, doctor. My wife got discharged from the hospital last week only. She was there for about a week due to COVID-related complications. Since then, my 4-year-old daughter just keeps on clinging to her mother. She would have food with her hands, get dressed by her, not let her leave the bed or use the washroom. She is becoming over-attached to her and cries loudly on being taken away from her. Although it's been a week, she is with her, but this clinginess is increasing day by day. What can be done to make her behave normally? Naitik is asking.
Okay, yeah, Naitik, I'm so glad and I'm so happy. It's all the mother and the kid and all are together. It's so nice, and these are, Pavni, amazing stories. So now, for a young child, when the child sees one of the parent, or the safety that the child had, or the consistency or the routine that the child had, when the child sees that the parent is not there, and the child sees that that overall the anxiety is high. At 4-year-old can't verbalize everything, so there can be a sense of heightened clinginess to the parent, and separation anxiety can revisit to the child who would have overcome. So children do regress back to the milestones that they have already achieved. Some young children could start bedwetting back. Some young children could be, suddenly getting up, who might have started sleeping independently, may want to sleep again with the parents. So you may want to see it as firstly as a passing phase, where your child is still trying to get the sense of safety and security which the child had before. Okay, and if your wife is still a little weak to hold on to your child, so be confident and provide the connect which the child feels without bothering that, okay, my child only wants to go to her only. For example, if your wife, there are cases, Akansha, which are here where the mother goes into the washroom and the child is completely standing outside the door itself and is just completely knocking it like that. So I would suggest that the mother, please show confidence and tell your child when you are going somewhere. Tell your child, okay, you know what, I'm going to go to the washroom now, or I'm there in the kitchen. If you wish, you can join. So if your child 4-year-old wants to go trotting behind and wants to join, let the child stand in the kitchen for as long as it is. Sometimes what happens, Natik, is that as a parent, we get a little concerned. Oh, it's so hot here. Why are you sitting here only? Let the child, as long as it is safe, be there with the parent, feel the connect again. Show confidence. If you show worry, if you show that, okay, you will not be able to do it, you are, then the child is going to internalize that. If you are speaking amongst each other, "Are ye to mother ko chhod hi nahi rahi hai," right? So the child may, it may increase the anxiety. So have confidence, and wherever the mother has to go out, let the mother tell the child, do not sneak out. It is going to increase her separation anxiety. Tell the child, okay, I will be back in 15 minutes, 1 hour, bye-bye, and let the mother go confidently, and the other, your father or your grandmother or your nanny is going to take care, and then I'll be right there. So go there. Do not keep calling up to talk to the child. Are you okay? Are you okay? When you come back, then with confidence, again, greet your child with the hug. So as the child sees the consistency again, that yes, my mother goes and she comes back, my mother goes and she comes back, the child is going to come back into the old routine of feeling safe. We got to understand, Natik, that your child could not predict when will I see my mother again, and the heightened anxiety overall in the family. So both of them, of course, can increase anxiety. So give it some time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for helping out, Naitik. Khadija Madhani has written, "My teenager has become different. I don't even know him anymore. I can't ask him anything." That's it. She's written just that's it, but it all boils down to the fact that her teenager is behaving maybe differently. And, what will you say to help Khadija?
Khadija, for teenagers, it brings a completely different set of challenges, the lockdown. The teenager is an age where they need, it's an inherent need as a part of their growing to get more and more independence, to be building, to be figuring it out how to socially connect with the peers, to be in and out of different groups, to have discover their own self identity, and see it, as what I was saying before, see it being accepted or not accepted by their peers, and then choosing their peers, or thinking that, okay, establishing their individuality. All these things are missing right now. And what the teenagers actually end up with is connecting with another set of teenagers who also are connected on the internet and are on devices and are most probably playing Free Fire if it's a boy, and Among Us if it's a girl. I mean, I'm not generalizing it, but yeah, So the tricky part is that the games, and when the child is spending 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours on there, it can get very tough, because the child will not get what the child is actually looking out for, that social connect. And by the time the child comes out of it, the child could actually be more anxious and could actually be more disconnected than if the child would have physically met someone. So this is a genuine challenge, Khadija, which is happening in multiple households. And then there are places where it is increasing the conflicts between parent and child. So first thing is accepting that, yes, it is tough for teenagers. Their need to socialize has been severely curbed up. In fact, Akansha, it has been shown that, yes, 15 years, 14 years to 22, 25 years in this second pandemic has been affected much more. Right? So this is a genuine challenge. So my request is that continue establishing connect with your child. We may think a lot of time that teenagers have grown up, they don't need us anymore. right? You may have to increase like family time when you have the when you have food together. That time you guys are gossiping, the TV is off. There could be some night routine, night ritual of gossiping, playing some Uno or carom board. So try to have give that physical, the social connect, which otherwise the child is not getting. Now just imagine what happens is the child is already trying to do it on the online with the video games, and the child is not is getting increasingly distancing away from the family. So then it becomes all the more difficult. So you may have to increase your connect time with your child. Again, it is they are bigger, so their pushback can be harder. So you can have some kind of work with your child. It has to be negotiable, it has to be collaborative. Work with your teenager to work out that what other ways, like attending some classes. Maybe some 2-3 kids are doing something in the society where it is safe, where they are just going for some meditation classes or going for some tuition. Instead of virtual, try to have some kind of physical tuitions if it is within the vicinity. So see if there could be some physical aspect of connecting in a safe environment that can be given to the child. So establish your expectations. I'm sure your child is going to help with that, but it's going to be a slow process, Khadija, and it is tough for this sect of children.
Thank you, Kiran, for that motivation. Neha Shukla has asked, how to help my 7-year-old find reading interesting? I have friends who give their kids 0 screen time, and they are so much into books that I was surprised when he asked for books as a birthday gift, and he seemed so excited about it. What will you tell to Neha?
Wonderful, Neha. It is so wonderful where, as a parent, you are ready to give the amount of, give the amount of importance that reading should be given to the children. Reading opens up a completely different world to the children. Now, I'm not so sure how old is your child. However, it is never too late to establish the habits of reading. Now, there are different things. Now, this is a lockdown, so I'm not even sure how easy it is, the availability of books as well. First thing is to start with the topics that the child already loves. So if your child is into sports, so maybe it can be, depends on the age of the child. So if the child is into sports, you can have some kind of books around sports, or if the child loves some kind of particular cartoon like Peppa Pig, or if the child is really young, you can have Bubbles. You can have, if the child is middle age, like 8 years to 14 years, you can actually introduce the child to different kind of like Fantastic Beasts or Harry Potter or Enid Blyton, all sorts of Enid Blyton series. So these are amazing books. But important challenge, Neha, out here is, especially during this pandemic, the amount of exposure which the children have to devices for entertainment. A lot of times children, the devices become like their go-to when they are feeling bored. Okay, so in case if you have some kind of structural routine where some things are allowed, some things are not allowed, and you say, you know what, we have 1 hour of screen time in the evening between whatever you say, right, between 5 to 6. So if the child knows very clearly this is my window, and the rest of the time if the child has availability of other areas, then the chances are high that the child is going to read. However, if the child has some easy go-to, because we got to understand that the reward centers in our brain, they get triggered very easily through the entertainment based, through the screen based entertainment. Because of the novelty, because of the quickness in which we can jump from one topic to another, and because they're highly engaging. However, books, the child will have to have some kind of sitting, and some kind of will have to build some kind of habit to get involved in it, and then the child will develop the habit. So like, for example, I will give you an example of a 12-year-old child who wasn't at all in the reading, but then it took about 6 months to 1 year of time where a complete structure was there, where the child was given the free time. Give the child the free time, where the rules are clear that you do whatever you wish to do. However, the device time is this thing. So give the child the free time, have some library, let the child do some purchases. okay, of the books of his or her choice. Don't get involved into that, oh no, no, this is not your age appropriate or something. Of course you can see if the content is there, but if you think that it is too technical, you will not understand. So don't tell the child that what the child should read, as long as you know that the content is safe, right? Then the child can definitely build the reading habits. And of course, as a parent, if the child sees you reading, sees you, how do you handle your boredom, then of course the chances are high the child is going to build that habit. Yeah. So start from you, dear Neha, and surround your child with free time. That will help your child to build the reading habits. Yeah.
Thank you, Kiran. Rightly said, patience is the key. As you were saying, it takes, it was taking someone that long, from 6 months to 1 year, to build the habit of, making a child getting interested in the books and reading stuff. Thank you so much. Tell us, 3 do's and 3 don'ts for a parent.
To handle the anxieties right now?
Yes,
okay.
To handle child's anxiety during the pandemic.
Right. So we'll start with don'ts so that we live with do's. When we are leaving, we leave with do's and the positive side of it. So I would say, please avoid turning on the TV the first thing in the morning. That's a fresh thing, right? You're just starting off. Your child is figuring out what I should do. You're figuring out what I should do. So if you think that, okay, I have to check what happened in the world while I was sleeping, I would suggest have some newspaper instead. That's better. So please do not start with the TV blaring in this. Secondly, be conscious, right? Please do not indulge into back-to-back, kind of doomsday prophecy. Please avoid participating that, especially when you know that your child is observing you. No matter how much comfort you give to the child, your child is going to observe you more. So please be conscious about that, right? Thirdly, please do not dismiss any question, no matter what the question, whether it is a 3-year-old who is asking the question, whether it is a 12-year-old who is asking the question. Please do not dismiss any of the fears or any of the questions that the child is asking you. You may not be prepared at the time. You may want to tell, wow, it's an amazing question. I will want to answer it. Please give me some time and we will talk about it. And then remember to do your homework to find what is the age appropriate and child appropriate way in which you explain to your child, and get back to your child. You know, the day before yesterday you were asking this question. Let's talk about it now. Okay, so please do that. Now that's a don'ts. Okay.
Now the do's.
Yeah, the do's is that invariably you are the only adult right now in your child's life. So please increase your time that you give attention to your child. When you're crossing, even when you are a working parent, you take a break to take some water. Try to have some kind of at least meal time where you guys are having it together. Invite your child. Thank your child. Wow, I'm thankful. Wow, have some gratitude kind of thing. I'm thanks that you joined for the food time. So increase your attention to your child, because that they need that social connect, which is missing right now. Then the behavioral problems can increase, right? So increase your attention time to your child. It may not be that you have to find out what do I give my child to keep entertained. No, it's about attention. It's about joining. Oh, what are you doing? Observing the child more. It's about physical connecting, putting a pat on your hand on your child's hand, right? So please give more attention to your child, first thing. Secondly, when I said don't start with the TV, then secondly, for your own, also have some kind of discipline that, okay, these are the things which I will do in the first half. These are the things which I do in the second half. These are the things which I do in the third half. So observe some kind of discipline when you're using the devices as well, because as I said, no matter what you tell your child is observing. So of course, for your work related, I notice sometimes, Akansha, that as a parent, we become conscious even when we are using the device for work related. It's perfectly fine. Your child is using for school, you're using for it. But when you see that, okay, when you're getting bored, you are watching a movie or short movies, maybe just you want to pause it and spend more time with your child. So have your own device, right? Discipline. And the last thing is that no matter what are the griefs, when you hear all the news and all, try to, which I said from the beginning as well, have address your own ominous things, that, okay, why my child is talking about it. Hold on to your own reactions. The moment your child sees worry on your face, Okay, you can be honest about it. Don't try to hide it. Yeah, actually this worries me also. I also wonder about it, but do you know how I handle it? I just then say a prayer to that family that okay, may God give them strength, and then I feel a little better. So start talking about what are the tools and techniques that you are using to handle the stress. So you may notice that your child will also start probably gaining something out of it. So start talking about how you are handling your stress to your child, and this can be a wonderful time when the connection between parents and children can actually be taken to a next level. Yeah, so
Next
all the
level.
best to everyone.
Right. Thank you so much, Kiran, for sharing such lovely insights, for explaining it so well to each parent out there, and for all the wonderful things that you told us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Akansha, and thanks to all the parents for asking and for participating in this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this Parent Tune Live. And if you are planning to start a family, do join us tomorrow. That is 18th of May. We'll be with the gynecologist, Dr. Pooja Mittal. She will be talking on, getting pregnant during the pandemic, do's and don'ts. The timing of this live will be from 2:30 to 3:30. Till then, stay tuned to Parent Tune, your 24/7 parent partner.
We can creatively come up with different sort of safe physical activities at home that you can do with your son.
We can use various oromotor exercises. We can make the child smell all kinds of food that we are cooking.
अगर आप ये 1 लीटर पानी में 1 चम्मच डालेंगे, उसे अच्छी तरह से उबाल के रात भर रहने दीजिए, दूसरे दिन छान के बच्चे को वो पानी पिलाइए, तो इससे भूख भी अच्छी बढ़ती है.
If you are having fibroids repeatedly and you've already undergone one surgery, it does not mean that you cannot conceive. You can.
So the baby weight is, it depends on the weight and build of the mother. So a mother who is small in build, short in height, and very thin may have a very low baby weight, and still the baby weight would be normal.